UFC Fight Night Baku this weekend. Rafael Fiziev and Manuel Torres in the main event. A lot of good matchups on this card. Let's just get right into it. First up, we're going to go over the two debutants, Tahir Abdulayev and Jefferson Nascimento. Now, this fight is kind of interesting. Obviously, two new fighters to the UFC who have never fight on the Contender Series, so we've never seen much of them. Now both have good records. They're undefeated, 13-0 for Nascimento and 21-3 with a 4-fight win streak for Abdulayev. Now the only thing I really have to say is Jefferson Nascimento, he has fought in LFA and he has some decent wins. The records are not bad of the guys he's fought. He's beat quite a few undefeated fighters. The only issue I really have with picking Nascimento outright is the fact that he's fought 4 weeks ago. And I've checked, and it doesn't seem that this fight had any cancellations. So, as far as we can really tell, Nascimento and Abdulayev are both fighting on 4 week notice, just about a month. And in that case, I'm leaning towards Nascimento a bit more. Abdulayev has fought quite a few cans. I mean, if you just look, he's fought some guys that barely fought. He's lost to the only undefeated guys and top prospects he's faced in these regional Dagestani scenes in Russia and Azerbaijan. Um, yeah, not much to say for this. I think I'm going to take Nascimento by first round KO. This is a welterweight matchup. Both about the same size, just half a pound of weight advantage. No reach to really say, but I'm going to go Nascimento just off of the fact that he's fought better opponents and in a fighting championship for that matter. Obviously, this fight could definitely go wrong. I don't know much about these fighters as they're both debutants, and I'm not really going to bother to watch any of their fights or do any extra tape. I'm just going to go off the records and based off of who they fought in the past, so I'm going with Nascimento by first round KO. Next up, Beksat Almakhan and Gene Matsumoto. You know a card is stacked when you have two very good bantamweight prospects on the second fight of the night. Beksat Almakhan obviously coming off the loss against the younger, or actually the older but less experienced Alexandre Topuria. Alexandre Topuria showed a masterclass in boxing and against the very good and fast striker in Almakhan. Almakhan obviously probably more known for his quick knockdown of Umar Nurmagomedov where he got wrestle-fucked to a decision. Still a good showing, especially with the fact that he had good hands, and he immediately went to put out the Canadian, unfortunately, Brad Katona at UFC 315. Now, he fought a decent fight against Alexandre Topuria, damaged him up a little bit on the face, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do to Gene Matsumoto. Matsumoto takes damage really badly. He gets cut very easily. He's had close fights, obviously, and I think that's why people think he should be undefeated, but he lost to Farid Basharat in a close fight, which he obviously did officially lose. I also think he did lose that fight. It was close either way. He had a split decision with Miles Johns, which is kind of embarrassing considering how Miles Johns' career has gone as of late. He's been finished quite a few times. Rob Font, he definitely lost this unanimously. I don't know how this was a split. Matsumoto kind of has a thing where he'll grapple guys and not really have any great moments. And obviously, you wanna dominate a round over the course of 5 minutes, but Matsumoto needs like a moment. He takes your back and he kind of lays there, doesn't throw any big strikes, doesn't have a lot of sub attempts. Like Raul Rosas Jr. went out there and completely dominated Rob Font. Like you need to really grapple fucking Matsumoto's. He's an okay striker and he's an okay grappler. He's not super great at both. Almakhan is pretty, dare I say, elite in the striking, and I think with Matsumoto's very keen my keen observation of Matsumoto just taking damage very badly, getting cut all the time, I think Almakhan can win a crafty decision, if not a round 2 TKO over Matsumoto to end the hype train. Obviously, it's a very close fight, especially on the odds, but I'm going to take Beksat Almakhan by a decision. Next up, Daniil Donchenko. Quite frankly, not gonna even going to talk about the other guy. I don't really know his name. Theodore Berggren. Comes from like Cage Warriors and FCR. Not a really great record, obviously, as a prospect, and this is also his debut, fighting a younger and more experienced Daniil Danchenko, who's very dangerous on the feet, decent wrestling. He does have a reach advantage, but I don't know much to say that it will really help him. Obviously, Daniil Danchenko didn't finish Alex Morono in his last bout, but Alex Morono is very, very rarely finished. So it was still a very dominant and impressive win for Danchenko as a very young prospect. And quite frankly, minus 470 is pretty generous for Danchenko. He could be probably minus 1,000 in this. I've seen some people compare it to maybe Malcolm Wellmaker and Ethan Ewing, but quite frankly, Theodore is not fought any decent opposition to say that he would really be like an Ethan Ewing and get off here in a week. He's had 4 months since his last fight. Both have been off 4 months and 2 weeks. Danchenko is fast. He's got good striking, decent wrestling. I'm going to trust in a prospect for once to get the job done, probably in the second or actually third round, because Daniil Danchenko kind of likes to lay it on over the first 2 rounds and then just take over when his opponent has taken too much damage. Next up, Khan Ofli and Javier Reyes. Javier Reyes obviously coming off the big win over Silva de Andrade. He got knocked down, came back, knocked Andrade down, and then got the big TKO. Khan Ofli has gotten 2 wins now in the UFC. He subbed Ricardo Ramos pretty easily, and then he robbed Yi Jia pretty badly in his last fight. Now, I don't know a single person that thinks he won that fight. He's also gotten KO'd by Myron Santos in the Ultimate Fighter finale, and he got beat by Muhammad Naimov as well. He's honestly just a pretty chinless grappler with not much else to victory. Doesn't have decent striking. Javier Reyes, obviously they're both the same size, but he has a 7-inch reach advantage, and he also is a very good grappler, and he likes to grapple way more than people think. I think a lot of people have picked KO because of the last fight, but I think if Khan Ofli shoots, because he is an Australian, no, he's not, he's a Turkish wrestler guy, I think Reyes will pull a guillotine, and he might get it. Now, obviously, the TKO is probably always live, so I think he'll probably get on top, and he has good finishing ability when he sees the opportunity. I'm gonna say Reyes by round 2 TKO, probably from mount and just punches. Next up, Nursultan Ruziboev and Andrei Polyaev. And- Andrei Polyaev is obviously coming off the loss to Ateba Gautier, and a lot of people said, "Oh my God, he made Ateba Gautier look not unbeatable." But Ateba Gautier is also relatively a newer prospect in the UFC. I wouldn't take that as a huge thing where a guy takes off a round against a good prospect, and all of a sudden he's good. He's lost to CLD. And his only win is against Nick Klein in the UFC, which isn't that impressive. And he had a competitive first round in that fight as well. Nursultan Ruziboev only lost to Joaquin Buckley, and it was down a division after fighting at middleweight pretty much his whole career. He's he's a big middleweight, 6'5". He has a smaller reach, but he's very fast. He has good wrestling. He can grapple. He definitely won't in this fight. I think he lands a crisp 1-2 down the pipe, knocks out Andrei Polyaev, and shows everybody how he is the big bum. This is my GOAT pick of the week. I'm kind of shocked that I could get Ruziboev at only minus 215, as it went down a tiny bit on FanDuel. But Ruziboev is the way to go. He will get a KO over Polyaev. Polyaev is a sucker. Next up, we have Abdul Rahman Yakyaev and Julius Walker. This is obviously a no-brainer. Yakyaev in the first. The real question is, do I pick him by sub or KO? Obviously, his last 2 wins have gone down. He got a big rear naked choke win in both of them against Brenson Ribeiro and Rafael Cerqueira. Rafael Cerqueira, he knocked him down with a 1-2 head kick, which was very clean, and then he got him down to the ground and subbed him. Same with Ribeiro. Obviously, Ribeiro had some decent moments in their very short fight. He got he potentially knocked him down. I don't think they ruled it a knockdown with that big knee, but Yakyayev got a takedown, lifted him up in the air, then subbed him with the rear naked choke. He's a very strong, very fast light heavyweight. And Julius Walker, like, we'll give him credit. He's an athlete. He's not a fighter. He's an athlete. He'll be the best basketball player in the UFC. He's not going to be the best fighter in the light heavyweight unranks. And his last fight also showed that. I don't know why he was that close to Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby put him out in 2 rounds. It was pretty easy. Don't know why people have ever really been huge on Julius Walker just because he lost a decision, which should have been unanimous for Alonzo Menefield. And then he got hurt by Rafael Cerqueira from I think it was a left hand that went straight up his guard. It's pretty embarrassing. Walker has no chin. He's a good athlete. He's not a good fighter. I think this time, with his chin being so as bad as it is, I think Yakyayev, when he knocks him down, will just get a TKO with punches and maybe just a KO flatline. And that's what I'm going to go with. Yakyayev by first round KO. Next up, Farman Hassanov and Eric Nolan. Now, obviously, this is a very close fight on the odds. And quite frankly, I'm kind of surprised it's as close as it is because of how much people are talking online, especially on Twitter. Obviously, Hassanov has not fought in the UFC. He's undefeated. I don't actually. It says he's undefeated. Apparently, he has a loss via head kick in Gamma. Not really sure why that is, but it also could just be a random like amateur fight that they've mixed up on the record. He has beat a few good guys in LFA, obviously all smaller prospects in terms of their records, but Tom Nolan hasn't really beaten anybody good as of late, and he's not a great prospect. He took a round off of Baisanger's Susurkayev, and Susurkayev then stopped fooling around, took him down and subbed him immediately. I like Eric Nolan for trying to beat Susurkayev, but there's nothing much to him. He's very tight. He doesn't overextend, but he also doesn't really extend much. And I'm just not going to go with the guy. People are acting like he's some huge prospect just because his claim to fame is losing a fight but taking 1 round. Like, he got dominated in that second round, and there's not much else to say, especially because I think Susurkayev is not that good. And if you're getting dominated like that in a fight, I'm not going to pick you over a potentially better prospect. So I'm going to go with Farman Hassanov in a second round TKO. I think we're on to the main card now, and it starts with Abus Magomedov and Mikhail Olajaychuk. Obviously, Mikhail Olajaychuk having a bigger resurgence in the middleweight division. He's on a 3-fight win streak. I think he beat Cedric Dumas, GM3, and most recently he beat the power bar Canadian Marc-Andre Barriault. The Barriault win definitely puts some doubt in people's minds because they're really big on Mikhail here. It's become near even odds now, and I think that's kind of a mistake. I like Mikhail Olajaychuk and I also like Abus Magomedov. So as opposed to many people who are just high on Mikhail because of his recent resurgence, I like to think Abus has fought and also beaten better opponents. His Bruno Fajeda win, a sub arm triangle in a very hard and fast-paced fight, really speaks levels to me. I think Mikhail Olajaychuk has been open to sub losses quite a bit. He puts himself in bad scenarios. He knocked down Kevin Holland, then got sub via armbar. He got sub by Caio Borralho on his rise up, which quite frankly, pretty embarrassing if you ask me. Getting finished by Caio Borralho, Paul Craig is pretty embarrassing, quite frankly. And Abus's only losses in the UFC are the champion Sean Strickland, the former top 5 and currently top 6 Caio Borralho, and the top 5 Joe Pyfer in the middleweight division. So he's only lost to top ranked fighters and the champion. And he put up a good fight against Pfeiffer. And honestly, if you look back, if he doesn't make the mistake in the grappling situation with Pfeiffer, he probably wins that fight. He had some very good moments in that fight, and Pfeiffer has obviously shown, especially with his recent win over Adesanya, that he's definitely a player for that middleweight crown very soon. I think Abus is very much underlooked here. Also, another win Abus has. Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira subbed Mikhail Olajicek in the first round. Michel Olajicek just puts himself in very bad scenarios, and Abus is also a good striker. People forget that. Abus had a big, like 17-second KO over Dustin Stoltzfus, which got him put in against Sean Strickland immediately. So people kind of like to forget that that's kind of where he started with his career, and he's fought, I'd say, obviously Mikhail Olajicek has been there with quite a few great fighters, but he's not beaten any good fighters for that matter. His recent run is against a bunch of pretty bummy fighters, and with more experience, I'd say Abus has had better experience that's shaped him into a better fighter. So I'm gonna take Abus by round two KO. I think he's going to go back to his KO ways, and he's going to find a way to drop Mikhail Olajacek. Obviously, people are going to talk about the Polish power, but quite frankly, I think Abus will be very slick in there and shock a lot of people. Next up, speaking of Bruno Fajeda, he's fighting Ikram Alaskarov. Now, I'm not really sure why people act like Alaskarov has some type of death touch, and people are just shitting on Bruno Fajeda, like everywhere. People forget Bruno Fajeda is a very good middleweight prospect. He's 1-1 with RoboCop. Both have first round finishes over each other. So it's not like a loss that's really aged badly. RoboCop has had good fights and he has good wins. Bruno Fajeda himself has good wins and he's always going for the finish. Ikram Alaskarov, what, he beat Andre Muniz at the end of the first round. He beat Jun Young Park. Like, what are we talking about? People are talking about a guy that gave Robert Whitaker his first finish in like 10 years. Like, what are we really talking about? I think Bruno Fajeda as a big money dog is just something you cannot pass up. Obviously, Ikram has some decent power and he's a decent striker. He has some wrestling, but Bruno Fajeda, always looking for subs, has way more avenues to win with the arm bars, with the rear nakeds. He's very open, very elastic. He's always throwing spinning elbows, and it works to his favor. He's very accurate when he throws them. When he gets in that flow, he's practically unstoppable. And I'm going to go with the Hulk, and I'm going to go by first round KO. I think he's going to corner Ikram Alaskarov to the cage and land a spinning elbow, land some big right hooks, and drop Ikram very bad. I'm just not going to trust a guy that's getting dropped by Robert Whitaker multiple times and finished in the first round. That's just something you can't forgive, especially against a way more dangerous middleweight striker and finisher in Bruno Fajeda. Next up, Aso Almabayev and Charles Johnson. Now, as you guys probably know, I hate Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson is one of the most shit fighters in the UFC. He has two fluke wins over Loney Kavanaugh and Joshua Van, two way better fighters. And he always talks about, oh, I deserve to be a top 5 guy, a top 10 guy. But you got KO'd by Alex Perez in the first round. Aso Almabayev lost 2 rounds to Alex Perez and immediately subbed him in the third. Heartbreaking for me as an Alex Perez fan, but it also goes to show that Charles Johnson only beats guys in the third round that are noob, green, uh, easy guys to gas out, which was Joshua Van and Loney Kavanaugh. Loney Kavanaugh just practically dropped his hands to his fucking pants and put it in fake pockets and got KO'd. Charles Johnson he robbed Sumudarji. He robbed Bruno Silva in his last fight. He could honestly be on a like 5-fight losing streak if it weren't for Loney Kavanaugh. Honestly, in my opinion, he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights. He's just not a good fighter. He's old. He's getting slower. This is a very good grappler, and people are also forgetting. Aso Almabayev recently beat Jose Ochoa, who's a very dangerous striker. I guarantee you put Jose Ochoa up against Charles Johnson, everybody's picking Jose Ochoa. Guarantee there is no talk about, oh, Charles Johnson is the prospect killer. Oh, he's a very underrated striker. No, they're picking Jose Ochoa, and Aso Almabayev dominates guys with less than regular par grappling. That's Charles Johnson. No grappling, doesn't have a lot of striking. His power is pretty overrated. He's just landed perfect shots against pretty gassed fighters in a third round and knocked them down. That's it. Islambayev will dominate him in the grappling. I could see him getting a TKO, but I'm probably going to say Islambayev gets a decision win over 3 rounds in Baku. Next up, Nazim Sadikov and Matoiz Camilo. Now, I'm not really sure why this is so close. Camilo literally just beat uh, Borshchev, and Borshchev honestly could have gotten robbed. It was a very close fight. I honestly gave Borshchev 2 rounds. I think rounds 2 and 3. Pretty bad showing for Camilo. I mean, he also got subbed by Gabe Green right before that, which is also pretty embarrassing. Camille, yeah, not a great striker, pretty slow on the feet, doesn't have super good grappling, and his crutch is literally just being a grappling specialist. Nazim Sadikov, good striker. Obviously, the Fiziev KO made people think bad things about him, but I still think it's just a style matchup that was bad, and this is a guy that can't strike, and honestly, you could argue has less grappling advantage. So I'm gonna go with Sadikov in the first round. He's fighting at home as the Azerbaijani guy in Baku. His last fight in Baku was against Nicholas Moda, and it was a fight of the night domination and a huge KO win for him. I think he's gonna come out there in the home crowd and try to make a big statement again and show that he's still a good prospect in the lightweight division. Next up, the co-main event, Michel Pereira and Sharamagomedov. And I think my pick's going to surprise you. I'm actually going to go Michel Pereira, and I think he might get a round 1 KO. Actually, I'm going to say sub. Now, obviously, Sharamagomedov has only lost 1 fight ever, and it was against Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page being a very unorthodox striker, a guy that fights from range and can enter and exit boxing distance really quickly. Shara got his win back against Marc-Andre Barriault in a pretty decent fight of the night, I believe. Michel Pereira, obviously, since the Alexander Hernandez lost almost 2 years ago, hasn't really been the same. He lost the decision to Ibus Magomedov, and then he got KO'd by Kyle Dawkins, who also just got KO'd by Bo Nickel. Obviously, it wasn't a super great look for Michel Pereira, and as a guy that was once looked at as a potential higher top 10 or maybe a top 5 middleweight, the super fast twitch guy has kind of disappeared. Obviously, it kind of came back a bit against Zachary Reese, and the reason why I'm picking Michel Pereira is I think the Zachary Reese fight was a great confidence builder. I also think he has a bit of something to prove, and he's also he fights great when he's mad. And if you saw the press conference or the ceremonial weigh-in against Magomedov, he got pushed. He's pretty mad about that. I think he's going to come out guns blazing, knock down Magomedov, who has decent range management, but when a guy comes rushing at him, he kind of panics and doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have great wrestling or grappling, so I don't think he's going to be able to shoot a double leg. Either way, Michel Pereira obviously has way better sub threats and grappling and wrestling. He's a strong guy. I think we will see the formerly known fast twitch, just very unorthodox striker in Michel Pereira that we used to love and see. He's only 32 years old, just 7 months older than Sharamagomedov, same size. Yeah, obviously my pick is very much ranging on the fact that we see a bit of the old Michel Pereira. And also Sharamagomedov, he's just not that good. The Armen Petrosyan win got people thinking he's this nasty, super nasty striker, but he's really not. Like, he honestly could have lost that first round. Obviously, he won it on all Georgia's scorecards, but he could have been losing that round, and the second round wasn't looking that great either, and his gas tank isn't that good. Obviously, Michel Pereira's gas tank isn't the greatest either, but I also think it comes with the cost of being super fast twitch. In his last fight, he held it decently, albeit Zachary Reese did get the better of him in the third round. I'm going to still go Pereira sub round one. I think he'll get his classic club and sub, maybe do a backflip into a knee that's very illegal against Shara Magomedov, and then just sub him via rear naked choke or a guillotine. Finally, the main event of the evening, Rafael Fiziev and Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres coming off the big 2-fight win streak against Grant Dawson and also against Drew Dober. Now, he did lose to Ignacio Bahamondes, and he got KO'd because he has no head movement, and he walks straight into Bahamondes' punches because he just loves to swing overhands. Rafael Fiziev, obviously, he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights, 2 of them being against Justin Gaethje, one of them being an injury against Matois Gremrot in a fight that he maybe won the first round, and also the most recent losing to Mauricio Rufy in the second round via KO. Not really bad losses to have by any means, but it definitely gives you the question: is Fiziev able to come back? Is his chin compromised? I don't think it is. I think he got caught by very, very strong punches. Even the probably the worst finish, which was the Rufy fight. Rufy caught him with a very nice straight right, and Fiziev didn't even go down immediately for that. Fiziev needed to take more follow-up shots to go down the first time. He still got back up, obviously very dazed, and then got put down again. But Rufy had to land quite a few combination shots after that. I think Torres is a very good striker, but he overextends and leaves himself open to being countered too much. I think Rufy was a bit of more of a bad matchup considering he stays so composed, especially on the back foot, and he's able to land that perfect shot at all times. And he's like I said, he has composure. Manuel Torres doesn't have composure. He wants to come out there and bull rush. Obviously, very close fight. Manuel Torres' main ways to win are try to bum rush a finish in the first 2 rounds, and I think his gas tank won't be able to go much farther than that. He's been out of the first round once in his career, a third round finish which he got, but that was very, very early in his career. Since then, he's had obviously a very good UFC career, just first round finishes. I think Fiziev, with his long UFC career, he's fought quite a few 3-rounders and some longer 4 or 5-rounder fights against the guys like Brad Riddell. He's fought wars with Justin Gaethje, as we said. I think those I think that experience will help Fiziev stay composed. He obviously also did beat Ignacio Bahamondes after he KO'd Manuel Torres, and I think that's a win that ages well for him and will show that he's experienced enough to stay composed, maybe get a late finish over Manuel Torres in the 4th round. I think a 3rd, 4th, 5th round or a decision for Fiziev is the bet to make, quite frankly. Obviously you could tail a Manuel Torres KO in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round, but I think if Manuel Torres doesn't get him out in the 1st or 2nd, it's going to be a very long fight for him. I don't think his gas tank will be able to take it. His fast twitch will surely be gone by then. Fiziev will jab his face off. Not a huge height difference, especially at home for Fiziev in Baku. A lot of home guys. I think for the most part, the Azerbaijani guys are going to take the dubs here. And those are my picks for UFC Baku. Obviously, my GOAT pick of the week is Nursultan Ruziboev against Andrei Polyaev. I also have a GOAT parlay of the week, which is the anti-sucker picks parlay, which includes Nursultan Ruziboev, Asu Almabayev, and Nazim Sadikov. I think these 3 fighters are being, not even the fighters themselves, but their opponents are being looked at as value picks or underrated picks, and their odds are way too close. I think nuking this parlay would be great, especially even their money line. Sadikov at minus 190, pretty good. Asu at just around minus 300. I think that's still good value. Maybe just make it a sub or decision prop for Almabayev. And Nursultan Ruzibov, obviously, you take the money line, or you can take Nursultan Ruzibov via finish. That's it for my UFC Baku predictions. I apologize for this video getting out late. Been kind of busy. I'm going to try to get back more consistent. I didn't make a matchup video for the last fight night. I just didn't think there was any important matchups. So I just took a break for the week. Going to make a matches video for sure after this card for tomorrow. Hope to get this out early morning or right before the card. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Hopefully this can help you with your picks and predictions, and hopefully you guys make some money. This is Deshaun Goatlin signing out.